The Steelers Extra Point Show, presented by Neighborhood Ford Store.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Extra Point here on Pittsburgh CW. Bob Pompeani, Chris Hoke with you. And if your heartbeat is a little erratic right now, you can understand why, because it's become a weekly tradition now with the Steelers to take it to the end of games. Different kind of halves. It's been, feast or famine in many ways, but the thing that they did today was play and win a game in which they really didn't play well enough to win the game, but they overcome their own mistakes and they come away with a win tonight. And they trailed most of this game, but in the end they win 24-19 to get to 8-0. And I will say this before we start tackling all the issues here, Chris Hoke, is that this is a team that has played now 3 games in a row on the road, and they were tough, really physical, and I think challenging games at Tennessee. You remember they were undefeated. At 5-1 Baltimore, a very emotional game. So you could have understood, a little bit of a slow start, but again, it was like last week where the first half was non-existent. Second half, Ben Roethlisberger starts going to JuJu Smith-Schuster a little bit more, opening things up, and they come back and win, aided greatly by Dallas penalties at key moments of this game, which we'll get into. But hey, the bottom line is they're in the wins and loss business, and they're 8-0, and no one in the NFL has that record, Chris.
Absolutely right. You go against playing the 4-1 Browns team and then a 5-0 Titans team and then a 5-1 Ravens team. You're going off 3 emotional wins, and then you're going down to play a Dallas team that's 2-5, just lowly playing with a 4-string quarterback. You can't get up for these games. That's a natural thing for a professional athlete. And when you go down there, let me tell you right now, Bob, this might not be popular, but the Steelers didn't play well enough to win today. I believe this game was snatched away from the Dallas Cowboys in the fourth quarter. Those penalties, to me, the refs bailed out the Pittsburgh Steelers with 3 of those penalties in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I don't know what you thought about some of those. The roughing the passer one, anytime you get hands in the face, but that was on a 3rd and 10 incompletion. It would have forced the Steelers to go for it likely or punt it or whatever the case may be. But that was a gift, but it was the right call. Anytime hands are in the face, you're going to get that flag.
Well, Bobby, even earlier than that, there was that sack fumble that was recovered and taken back deep into Steelers territory, and it was called back for a questionable legal contact. He bumped him, and Chase Claypool fell down. I just think that Van Der Esch one, where Deontay Johnson was grabbing his face mask, he wasn't trying to punch him. I've been a defender. I've been in that position. You're just trying to get his arm off you. It was open-handed. It wasn't a closed fist thing. There were 3 serious penalties there that converted first downs and that took away the opportunity for the Cowboys to get the ball back, that put the Steelers in a position to win the game.
Yeah, honestly, all 3 of those penalties, you could have understood if none of them were called. Yep. They were gifts to the Steelers. But the good thing about the Steelers right now is they took advantage of those gifts. They didn't have to do that. They did do that, and they come away with a win at 24-19. So let's reset for you. We have post-game reaction coming up from Dallas, where the Steelers are still 8-0 now, undefeated. Also, we're going to have a portion of the show where we take your phone calls, and you'll have an opportunity to tell us what you think. But I do have a lot of questions. Number one, Chris, I want to get into special teams here. This was a bad day for special teams. I thought most of this season they've been pretty good. But today there were 2 really big plays on special teams that affected field position and ultimately led to points.
It really was a bad day for the special teams, and I think it was par for the course for offense, defense, and special teams. All 3 units didn't play well today. You talk about that, given that 73-yard punt return, then the 64-yard kickoff return, a missed field goal, missed extra point, then a missed field goal where they got a gift again, were able to re-kick because of a false start and make that field goal there at the end of the half. Then they missed an extra point. There were multiple mishaps in the special teams unit today.
Yeah, no question. How about that? 54-yard miss. You mentioned that. It was a missed field goal, and all of a sudden Cam Hayward is called for the penalty, so they back it up 5 yards. They try it again, and this time Boswell hits a franchise record 59-yard field goal. All big moments in what was a wacky game. There's no question about it. A lot of crazy stuff going on. We will unpack it for you. When we come back, you're going to hear from Mike Tomlin. You're going to hear from players. Steelers, bottom line, go on the road for 3 straight weeks and come away with wins. That does not often happen in the NFL, regardless of the competition. 24-19 your final score, and they come home to take on Cincinnati next week. We'll be back with post-game reaction right here live on Pittsburgh CW.
Hey, Pittsburgh. Watch the Drew Barrymore Show.
Look ahead to all the great things that you can do this week.
Weekdays at 3, right after Pittsburgh Today Live.
new K5 GT beats the BMW 330i in slaloming, cornering, and acceleration. So it probably makes sense that we just keep on racing ourselves. Introducing the all-new turbocharged K5.
Today's ways of working may work differently tomorrow, but you can work out anything with Comcast Business. Get fast, reliable, and secure internet on the nation's largest gig-speed network. Flexible tools like Wi-Fi you control, voice solutions that connect you from anywhere, and expert advice. Here, or even here. Be fast, be flexible, bounce forward with Comcast Business. Get started with a powerful internet solution for just $69.99 a month. Plus, for a limited time, ask how to get a $500 prepaid card when you upgrade. Switch today.
Want to sell your Pittsburgh area home faster and for the best price? Then make it RE/MAX Select Realty. RE/MAX Select agents sell up to 3 times as many homes as other agents. That means more buyers searching your neighborhood right now. Call RE/MAX Select today. We'll meet and list your home tomorrow. Plus, get your free RE/MAX market price evaluation. Selling your home is a big decision. Make it RE/MAX Select Realty. See us now at selecthomefinder.com.
Yeah, thanks for joining me. I'm glad you're all here.
A lot has changed about the workplace this year.
Sorry, guys.
But not everything. Our affordable plans give employees access to the top-ranked care of UPMC and many community doctors and hospitals, award-winning customer service, and 24/7 video visits.
Thank you.
It's no wonder why businesses that choose UPMC Health Plan stay with UPMC Health Plan.
Welcome back to Steelers Extra Point, presented by Neighborhood Ford Store.
Welcome back, everyone. We continue. Bob Pompeani, Chris Hoke with you, following a Steelers 5-point win on the road, 24-19. And I want to start at the end of the game here with this one, Chris. The Steelers had an opportunity to kick a field goal to put the game in the win column, essentially, and it was a makeable field goal. They elected not to do that. Number one, I don't understand why they didn't take that play clock all the way down. You could have called a timeout. You could have figured things out. They didn't do that, and they were stopped on 4th down, which gave Dallas the ball. Were you surprised by those maneuvers?
I was surprised. I mean, you look at it here, you have 4 plays on that drive. Connor for 2 yards, Connor for 3 yards, Claypool for 4. You have a 4th and 1. Run the ball right down their throat if you're going to run the ball. Don't run an outside run, try to go off tackle, pulling 2 people. It's just too many opportunities for missed tackles. Do a quarterback sneak. Do a quick hitting play up the middle. Just get 1 yard. I mean, you're going against the worst rushing defense in the NFL. And I didn't have a problem with the call because you get that 1st down, 4th and 1. The odds are in your favor. You take a knee, you run out the clock. They don't have any more timeouts. It's just the play calling on the situation I thought was bad.
Were you surprised there was no field goal attempt?
I wasn't surprised at all because Tomlin, that's the way they're being aggressive. He's been aggressive. They have a lot of confidence in their offensive line, even though they struggled today at times. And so what I struggled with, Bob, was in the play call, going off tackle rather than going right down the middle.
I understand that. You talked about the run game, and consider that Dallas was number 32, dead last in the NFL in run defense. And yet today, the so-called bell cow, James Conner, who's had a pretty good year, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 9 carries for 20 yards. Why not go to him more often early in the game especially?
Well, they just weren't having success. I mean, Conner today had 3.3 yards a carry. He's averaging 4.1 on the year. And what was happening was they just weren't winning their battles. They were getting beat up front, man-to-man. Not just double teams, they were winning those, but when they had man-to-man blocking, Okafor, Filer, Villanueva, he started Castro a couple times, they just weren't winning those one-on-one battles. And the Dallas Cowboys were taking it to them. I think they took a lot of heat this week for being a porous defense, especially those 2 in the middle, and they came after the Steelers and they shut down that run.
I thought a key part of the game, too, was when Ben Roethlisberger was sandwiched between Gallimore and DeMarcus Lawrence. And he looked to be in pain there with his left knee, I believe it was. But he stayed in the game, and there was a 3rd down and 10. He completed it to Eric Ebron, and then right before the halftime, he delivered a 17-yard touchdown to James Washington. That was critical. He then left the field, and you're wondering what is wrong with Roethlisberger, because that was a pretty interesting-looking hit. And I thought, at first I thought it was a concussion because he got a hit high, but it was his knee which was giving him problems.
Yeah, I'll tell you, that's typical Ben, isn't it? We always watch, I played with him for a lot of years, and I've been watching him. And when he's banged up, it seems to me like he plays at his best right there. And what a crushing hit he took between Gallimore and the other defender, but he drove the team down the field, had a nice strike to James Washington, all while being in pain. And I remember playing with Ben thinking, when Ben's in pain, all right, it's time to go. This is when Ben's at his best.
You know, it's funny, at the beginning of games last week and this week, people were tweeting about, well, look at this offense. Ben can't do anything, getting outperformed by a fourth-string quarterback. In the end, 306 yards, 3 touchdowns, and another win. And we are holding on here for Mike Tomlin, who will be coming to the podium very quickly at this Zoom interview. We're interested to hear about the extent of any injuries, but apparently Roethlisberger is going to be okay. Here's Mike Tomlin in Dallas.
It's history. We're humbled and honored to be that group. You know, it's not without its trials today, obviously. Some of it was created by us. You got to give the Cowboys a lot of credit, man. They really came to play in all 3 phases, man. They were beating us to the punch. It starts with coaching, then playing. They were on it. We were not. But thankfully, man, like we were talking about last week, we got a group that sticks together, man, a group that's mentally tough and is able to persevere. And I'm thankful for that. But obviously, we can't keep having these conversations every week because one of these weeks we'll be doing it with an L if we're not careful. But we're thankful to win today. No real health issues to report of. Ben was able to go back into the game and finish the game. I'm sure there'll be bumps and bruises associated with play. But we're excited about getting out of here with this one and moving on to AFC North football next week.
Mike Pursuta.
Mike, can you go over the thought process on the last 4th down, field goal, no field goal?
Man, we had struggled so much with our field goal group early in the game. I just didn't feel good about it. You know, they were beating us to the punch pretty much for the better part of the day in special teams. You know, we missed the extra point. They blocked a field goal attempt. We skied a kick trying to pin them down into territory, and they flipped the field with a big kickoff return. I had just seen enough of their dominance in teams. And so, you know, I got a great deal of confidence in our short yardage abilities. Obviously, it didn't work out for us there.
Dale Lawley.
Mike, offensively, you went to an almost exclusively passing offense in the second half. I don't think James Conner had a carry until that last sequence. Is that something you guys talked about at halftime that you needed to do to kind of kickstart things?
Yeah, we were just looking at some of their defensive personnel groups, and we found that, you know, they didn't have a lot of defense when we spread them out. And so it reduced the amount of things that we would have to see, so we were comfortable working in that space. And that's why we did it.
Brooke Pryor.
Mike, was Garrett Gilbert, I know it's hard to prepare when you don't know which quarterback you're going to face, but was Garrett Gilbert showing you guys something that you didn't expect, or what was he doing that was so effective today?
They just worked hard to stay on schedule, and that was helpful to them. They were in manageable third downs. They were able to run the ball some on third downs. We weren't doing a good job of possessing it on offense, so it kept the pressure off of him and them. It was a good game plan and execution by them.
Joe Rudder.
Yeah, Mike, another slow start in the first half. Anything you can pinpoint on why that is?
Man, we're just getting hit in the teeth. We gotta combat that.
Jerry Dulac.
How much of it is out of necessity and how much of it has been taking the game over with as many times as he was throwing once you guys got 10 up?
Like I mentioned, much like last week, we got them in a personnel group that reduced what it is they do. And when we can reduce what it is they do and we got that level of clarity, we're comfortable playing ball in any mode. And that's why we went to the structure that we went to.
Mark Caboli.
Mike, is there anything to, you guys being 7-0 and the other teams having a bullseye on you guys, trying to get, bring their best at you?
Hey, we're the Pittsburgh Steelers, man. Everybody knows what that means. We get everybody's best punch regardless of record. I think people respect our brand and they respect our franchise and its history. And so that's been my experience over 14 years here. Regardless of our record, people know when they're playing the Pittsburgh Steelers, and there's certain responsibility that comes with our reputation. We're going to get people's best shot.
Jim Colony.
Yeah, Mike, there were several short yardage situations, and you went with a single back, no fullback. What's the thinking there?
We create additional gaps for them to have to defend. Plus, Derek Watt was not available to us. And so, it's a culmination of things. But there are no excuses. We're a capable short yardage group. We have been. We weren't today. We got to own that, and we will.
Jenna Harner.
Mike, what does this team need to do to play that complete complementary 60-minute football game that you guys talk about?
Just keep coming to work every day. I'm thankful that we're winning in spite of, and we'll keep doing that.
Dejan Kovacevic.
Mike, you mentioned the special teams and the point after. Did you see Dallas doing anything specifically over your center that might have discouraged you from trying that kick?
Just in general, they were getting after us. That block was easy. That guy was standing in the backfield on 2 feet. That was a problem for us. We'll get back in the lab and go through a week of corrections and fundamentals and making sure we're solid there, as opposed to try to fix something in game and run the risk of a double thud again. I am not about that life.
Chris Adamski.
Mike, was there a chance that, did you that Ben was able to come back, or was it what happened when he left the game? Was there a chance? Did you try to get him back out there for that when you got the ball back real quick at the end of the first?
There were no issues with his availability. We was just getting him looked at. We wanted to get a jump on halftime. We got a turnover. We allowed Mason to finish the half and leave him inside getting evaluated where he was.
Mike Pursuta.
Mike, you had some variations in the sub package. Was that by design defensively, or were you just working through combinations till you got one you liked?
We're down some significant pieces, guys like Mike Hilton and guys like Tyson Alualu. So we're doing what we got to do, and we'll continue to do so.
Final one, Jim Colony.
Yeah, Mike, actually the weird sequence there at the end of the half where you get a false start on a 54-yard field goal attempt, and so you have to attempt a 59-yard one, and he ends up making it. You ever seen anything like that happen, and what were your thoughts?
No real thoughts. I had confidence in his ability from a distance standpoint. That was just another example where we weren't on the nuts and bolts of it from a special team standpoint. They do that shift trying to get you to jump all the time. We worked it, and we failed in that instance. And I'm thankful that we did. Actually, we got a re-kick.
Jerry, one final one. Go ahead.
Yeah, Mike, you touched on this earlier. What does it mean to you to set that franchise record with the 8-0 start?
It's significant as we sit here today, but once I go to work tomorrow, it'll be less significant. We'll be singularly focused on getting ready for our next AFC North opponent, and that's life. I'm appreciative of it, but we're not going to dwell on it. We got big-time business coming up with AFC North ball.
All right, thanks, Coach.
All right, that's Mike Tomlin after the game, and 4-0 road record to start a season, 5th time in history that's happened. It was interesting, Chris, because as we're watching this game, you do miss when you see guys like Tyson Alualu and Mike Hilton not in the game. Those guys are pretty good at what they do, and instead at one point today we saw Carlos Davis and Henry Mondo on the field at the same time. And that's just the way the NFL is throughout the course of a season. You're going to have guys who have to step up. We saw it last week with Isaiah Buggs, who made 2 critical tackles at the end of that game, too.
Yeah, you talk about the middle of the defense there. You have Isaiah Buggs. He made those plays at the end of the game, but he really had his struggles throughout the game. If you go back and watch that film, and today, again, still, not making the plays he needs to make. They've got to improve in the center of that defense. Hopefully they'll get Alualu back this week because he has been very, very tough to block in the middle of that defense. And if you want to be able to run stuff in defense, you've got to have a nose tackle who can play the blocks and stay on his feet.
No question. And just to put a lid on that conversation about the field goal, Mike Tomlin was asked about it. He says, I didn't feel good about it. I had seen enough of their dominance on special teams, so he just didn't want to take that chance. And normally Boswell, I would think, is fairly automatic from that range. But instead, they go to 4th down and they don't convert, which gives Dallas their final opportunity. And that's going to wrap up this segment. We have much more coming up. Post-game reaction from Dallas. We also have more of your calls later in the program. We'll do that. Chris Hoke and I continue after the Steelers put up an 8th straight win to start a season. 24-19, your final score from Dallas. We'll be back with more of our post-game conversation right after this.
You want top quality roofing?
Replacing a roof isn't just shingles, it's a complete engineered system. Being an Owens Corning preferred contractor, JP Roofing and Siding understands how the whole system works. With over 38 years in the business, JP Roofing and Siding takes pride in their craftsmanship and do all their jobs right the first time.
If you're looking to get your roof replaced, hire JP Roofing and Siding. Quality long remembered at a fair price.
Because of this, we made Ford Super Duty the most capable heavy-duty pickup ever. Because of this, We built Ford F-150 with 375 horsepower and best-in-class payload.
Rescue 614 en route.
Because of this, we built Ford Ranger with the terrain management system. And because Ford trucks are built for this, you made Ford America's best-selling brand.
You can go your own way, go your own way.
Your wireless, your rules. Only Xfinity Mobile lets you choose shared data, unlimited, or a mix of each. And switch anytime, so you only pay for the data you need. Switch and save up to $400 a year on your wireless bill with the carrier rated #1 in customer satisfaction. Call, click, or visit your local Xfinity store today.
Jason Waller, founder of Power Home Solar, America's fastest growing solar company. We've teamed up with Generac, the nation's largest provider of backup energy systems. Together with our American-made solar panels, you'll lower your energy bill, saving thousands of dollars every year, and you'll protect your home from being without power. Make the call 1-800-SOLAR-POWER and save $2,000. Generac and Power Home Solar, the new #1 team in home energy. Let the sun shine in.
Welcome back to Steelers Extra Point, presented by Neighborhood Ford Store.
Steelers win for the 8th straight time to start this season, 24-19. The numbers were not good, especially early in this game, but in the end, some of them flipped around. And Chris has talked about those final numbers, and once again, the big concern is being outrushed on the ground. Last week it was one-sided. This week not as bad, but still they got to figure that out.
Absolutely. 2 weeks in a row where in the first half the Steelers came out very slow and their stats were porous in the first half. Second half they turned things around and it evened out. But you take a look at this game today, Bob. I mean, the first downs is about even in this game, and the game was even, as you saw. Came down to the final seconds of the game. This was the difference, in my opinion. The Steelers were playing against the worst rushing defense in the NFL. Only ran the ball 18 times for 46 yards for 2.6 average, way below their season average. Dallas Cowboys, again, 2 weeks in a row, Bob, where the opponent came in and ran the ball over 100 yards. Last week, 265 yards. Today, 144 yards. Ben, another great game, 309 yards to really, Garrett Gilbert had only thrown 6 passes coming into this game, or 4 passes, excuse me. Today, 220 yards. Penalties was a big part of the game. That was the difference in the fourth quarter.
Plus turnovers, penalties. I think a big number there. You know, last week we saw that in Baltimore. The Ravens committed a lot of mistakes, and when you do that, chances are the Steelers got away with one game where they were -3 and still won the game, but that's unusual. When you make mistakes, and Dallas made their share of them today, especially in the penalty department. They had 7, but I can't stress enough, those were critical calls for them at critical junctures of down and distance, which aided the Steelers in points. And I thought 3 of those 4 calls were calls they didn't have to make, which is unusual.
Yeah, the refs really bailed out the Steelers in that one. I mean, when you give them an opportunity to possess the ball again for another set of downs after, you know, really questionable calls with the sack fumble where the Cowboys got, and then you have that hand in the face, and then you have that illegal touching. Those are tough ones to swallow for the Cowboys in that locker room right now.
Let me ask you about one of the interceptions. Minka Fitzpatrick had one in the end zone. And at the time, I think everyone was yelling, just take a knee, get down in the end zone, and then you can get the ball in pretty good field possession. He decided to run it out. Is it because the guys, he has that ability to turn something into a big special play? You have a problem with that? Should he have gone down, or did you have a problem with the return?
Well, listen, Minka's a big-time player. I wouldn't question his – it's a split-second decision. You either got to go down or go, and he saw an opening and he took it. But that was a huge play, Bob. I mean, you think about it at that time, it was a very close game, and the Cowboys would have put it up to a 2-score game again. And that takeaway at that point in the game there, late in the game, put the Steelers back in the game. They drove down and got points and didn't relinquish the lead from there. So just a great effort from Minka, and I would never question if he went down. He saw something and went for it.
All right, let me ask you this, because each of these wins, and I can't say enough about 3 straight wins on the road, no matter how you get it, that's hard to do in the NFL. And in each of these games, Tennessee, Baltimore, and today, there were ugly moments. Pittsburgh started so fast in Tennessee and then had a bad second half. And then they started really slow in Baltimore and then turned it around with a fourth quarter comeback. Same today. Says a lot about the resilience of a team, I think.
They're very resilient. And you think about how, like you said, how these games have gone on. It's very difficult to win on the road. When you go into Tennessee, when you go into Baltimore, when you go into Dallas, even against a below-the-line team, it's tough to win on the road. And so you come out, you try to weather that storm in the first half, and you try to battle back in the second. That's exactly what the Steelers did in each one of these games the last 3 weeks. And the great thing is they have the best start in Steeler history.
Yeah, they do. And there you go with a win at 24-19. We're going to take a break. When we come back, get some Zoom interviews to show you from Steelers in the locker room. They're talking about a big win in Dallas, and now coming home, they got a couple of games against division rivals. First, it's going to be the Bengals, and then after a trip to Jacksonville, they got the Ravens back here on Thanksgiving night. 24-19, that final score. Steelers come from behind once again in the fourth quarter to get to 8-0. We'll continue right after this. Thanks for joining us here live on Pittsburgh CW.
Heinz Field, PNC Park, a rugged skyline. From our offices in Gateway Center, we see the heart of Pittsburgh. But even the strongest people in the most resilient cities sometimes have bad things happen. The attorneys at Portis & Portis understand this and are proud of the results we've obtained for our clients. But we're most proud that we get to fight for justice in this great city. Portis & Portis, fighting for justice. Proud partner of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
The new K5 GT beats the BMW 330i in slaloming, cornering, and acceleration. So it probably makes sense that we just keep on racing ourselves. Introducing the all-new turbocharged K5.
Grit, determination, desire to be the best, or as we call it, going to work. But good luck getting the job done without the right tools. You'll need an F-150 with best-in-class payload and plenty of capability to do it right. That's how you become the best-selling trucks in Pittsburgh and the official truck of your Pittsburgh Steelers.
You can go your own way, go your own way.
Your wireless, your rules. Only Xfinity Mobile lets you choose shared data, unlimited, or a mix of each. And switch anytime so you only pay for the data you need.
Switch and save up to $400 a year on your wireless bill with the carrier rated #1 in customer satisfaction. Call, click, or visit your local Xfinity store today.
Welcome back to Steelers Extra Point, presented by Neighborhood Ford Store.
Welcome back, everyone. Bob Pompeani, Chris Hoke with you. We'll be going to Dallas in a second for more interviews. But, Chris, I want to ask you about something that we talked about in the preseason. Of course, during this pandemic, there was no training camp. There certainly wasn't a situation where they had preseason games. And we had a lot of rookies that we thought would not make contributions. I'll get to that in a second. I want to get your thought. But right now, Eric Ebron, who caught one of those touchdown passes with a high hurdle, he's speaking live in Dallas. Let's go to our Zoom interview.
Not yet. Her hand wasn't up yet.
Unfortunately, it's me.
Turn
Eric,
it up, turn it up. Hold on. Hold on, Mark. We're turning it up. Go ahead, Mark.
Could you just tell us where this team is right now, being able to come back on the road and win a game like this?
I can tell you we're 8-0 for the first time in franchise history. And every time we face adversity, we fight. Honestly, that's the only thing I can tell you. Like, I don't give up. I try to pump so much energy into this team, and I feel like it works, man. I feel like it all comes together. And in the end, man, I wouldn't bet against us. At the end of the day, I just wouldn't bet against us. Who's raising
All right. Let's go to Dale Lally. Dale?
Eric, can you take us through the fourth quarter, what that was like for you guys out there, knowing that you had to essentially score every time you got the football?
Well, really for us, it was more about keeping our defense off the field, man. We couldn't piss a drop in the first half, and we had our defense out there tired. I know my locker mate gonna cuss me out tomorrow about how many plays he played. My locker mate is Minka, but man, really it was just about keeping our defense off the field and allowing them to be as productive as they are. We didn't give them any chance to, regroup, recalibrate, figure things out, man. We just kept putting them back on the field, and that's not good. That's not a good look for us, and that's not a good look for them. And offensively, if our defense is out there, that means we're not doing anything. So we just need to continue to get better, figure out how to start faster. That's really it. If we could just start faster, it'd be better.
Jerry Dulac.
Hey, Eric, I know it's somewhat out of necessity, but when you get behind like that, do you just see Ben in the running game struggling? Do you see Ben just decide, he needs to take the ball and go and try to go win this game and get this team going?
Well, I just think that's our offense, because we do have a strong running game, and their defense is not bad. You know what I'm saying? Now they might have a few struggles on offense. They are missing their starting quarterback, but defensively, they're NFL football defense, and the Cowboys have always had a really good defense. So, they came out here and they really put on a show, and they really tried to take us out. And we as an offense has to know that. We have a target on our back. We're undefeated. Everybody's job is to come in and stop us. So they did a really good job of doing it.
All right,
that's Eric Ebron right there at touchdown. Real quick, Chris, the point I was trying to make was this year, all these rookies, nobody really expected all that much from them. Yet Chase Claypool has 7 touchdowns. We've seen significant plays from Alex Highsmith. Kevin Dotson has played a lot, and today Anthony McFarland made some plays as well. So rookies are coming through despite no training camp.
They really are coming through, and these are draft picks you're talking about, Bob. And these guys came in in great condition, ready to play. And you talk about each one of those guys. The one to me that stands out is Chase Claypool, just making play after play and converting first downs, scoring touchdowns. He has been a tremendous surprise for this offense.
And JuJu Smith-Schuster has been very solid, especially later in games. We'll talk more about that when we continue. This is the Extra Point Show on Pittsburgh CW. We'll have more coming up right after this, after the Steelers win 24-19, and they do it in heart-pounding fashion.
Your wireless, your rules. Only Xfinity Mobile lets you choose shared data, unlimited, or a mix of each. And switch anytime, so you only pay for the data you need.
Switch and save up to $400 a year on your wireless bill with the carrier rated #1 in customer satisfaction. Call, click, or visit your local Xfinity store today.
Medicare annual enrollment starts October 15th. Don't wait till the last second. United Healthcare Medicare Advantage plans can give you access to care throughout Pennsylvania and across the country with no referrals. There are 0 premium plans and no copay for many services, plus coverage for glasses, dental care, and more. Pick the plan that's in it for the long game. United Healthcare. Call 1-800-971-1348 or visit uhcpennsylvania.com.
We're Steelers. We take what nature provides. We work in what others can't handle. We put it through extremes others can't imagine. And we create something extraordinary. Then we share it with others so they can make their own amazing. Now, Steelers are partnering again, working to bring remarkable to the next generation so they too can be extraordinary.
It's Ford Truck Month, and if this is your kind of day, and this is your kind of truck, then this is your month. Ford Truck Month. Now, get great deals on Ford F-Series, America's best-selling trucks for 43 years.
Get a 2020 F-150 with $10,200 in total savings and a complimentary 2-year maintenance plan. Visit a neighborhood Ford store dealer near you.
Welcome back to Steelers Extra Point, presented by Neighborhood Ford Store.
All right, welcome back. We continue here following a Steeler win to get to 8 wins, no losses. Coming up, a game against the Cincinnati Bengals next Sunday at Heinz Field. That game has been flipped to a 4:25 start, as CBS has the Masters coming up this week. And early on in this game, the offensive line really didn't do a good job at all here trying to open up holes. And Dallas, as you said, Chris, was a team that had allowed the most rushing yards. They were very vulnerable. People were eating them up, and all of a sudden the Steelers couldn't do it. Why specifically was that not happening? We've seen all these guys have their issues, from Filer to Okorafor in the middle, to Castro at times had time. What was the problem?
It was across the board. It was just one-on-one battles. They just outplayed them. They were more physical than they were up at the point of attack. They play with a greater intensity and sense of urgency than the Pittsburgh Steelers today. And that could be really, we look at the Steelers' record after Ravens game, it's below the line. It's below 500, I believe. And so when you come off a very emotional game like the Ravens, it's always difficult to get up for the next game. And then you have a 2-5 team that really is the worst rushing defense in the NFL. So you come into this game a little more laxed, right? Not as tight as you would be in normal games, and this is what happens.
I like what Eric Ebron said in that interview. He said basically, quote, when we face adversity, we fight. Yep. I wouldn't bet against us. And so far, that's exactly what we've seen in so many tight games, especially on the road, and they're 4-0 on the road this year. And now things will switch a little bit as we get some home cooking for a big game against the Bengals coming up. That will be on Sunday. Real quick, the Bengals had a week off today. It was their bye week. Joe Burrow has been terrific, and we have seen teams now go down the field against the Steelers. You have concerns about that one as a little preview, Chris?
Well, I do. Again, it's a matter of pressure. Again, when the Steelers are getting consistent pressure and getting sacks, teams are having a difficult time moving the ball down the field and getting big chunks. Today, again, only 2 sacks. They hit the quarterback quite a bit in Gilbert, but he was able to sit back there. He was able to step up in the pocket and make throws down the field, and that's where the Steelers are getting hurt. They aren't tied together really well, Bob, when you have the rush and the back-end coverage. When they're in sync, they're tough to move the ball on.
Minkah Fitzpatrick, 2 weeks in a row, makes a breakup play at the goal line, and we're going to talk to him when we come back. We have a lot going on here. Steelers win 24-19. They get to 8-0. The Ravens fell behind early. They were bad in the first half today, had to come from behind to beat the Colts 24-10. Carolina had a chance, but Kansas City wins. And how about Pat Mahomes? 9 touchdown passes, no picks in the last 2 weeks. Buffalo behind Josh Allen, who was outstanding today. 44-34, they beat Seattle. A busy day of football. We'll have more, including an interview with Minkah Fitzpatrick when we come back right here live on our postgame show on Pittsburgh CW.
FanDuel Sportsbook makes it easy to bet live during the game. But to make it even easier, we got Hall of Famer Orlando Pace to place Kyle's bet for him.
And it's good.
FanDuel Sportsbook. Get a risk-free first bet.
Because of this, we built the most powerful Ford Explorer ever with 400 horsepower. Because of this, we built Ford Expedition with best-in-class towing and plenty of room for crew and cargo. Because of this, we built Escape with Ford Copilot 360. And because Ford SUVs are built for this, you made Ford America's best-selling brand.
Arby's, 2 for $6 every day. Chicken, beef, euros. 2 of those things for just $6. Arby's, we have the meats.
This, and this are caused by this. Uneven, sagging floors could be a sign of foundation damage to your home. Keystone Basement Systems specializes in floor leveling and foundation repair. It will only get worse, so don't wait. Get a free inspection now. Go to KeystoneBasementSystems.com/KDKA.
The new K5 GT beats the BMW 330i in slaloming, cornering, and acceleration. So it probably makes sense that we just keep on racing ourselves. Introducing the all-new turbocharged K5.
We've got some good news. Make that great news. John Shumway is back in the mornings. Get your news and weather with John and Ron, weekday mornings at 7, only on Pittsburgh CW.
Welcome back to Steelers Extra Point, presented by Neighborhood Ford Store.
Halfway through the football season, the Steelers have not yet lost. The only team in the NFL that can say that. Welcome back. Bob Pompeani, Chris Hoke with you. Up until 9 o'clock, we'll be taking your calls on this start coming up momentarily. But, Chris, let's take a look ahead now, because the next half of the season begins with a couple of games right off the bat against teams in their own division.
Absolutely, Bob. And the road ahead, presented by your Neighborhood Ford Store, you talk about what's coming up for the Steelers. A big game, an AFC North game against the Cincinnati Bengals. They're 2-5-1 right now. Joe Burrow is playing lights out. He's showing why he was the #1 overall pick. The following week, 2 weeks from now, the Jacksonville Jaguars down there in Florida. They're banged up right now. They're only 1-7. Following week, a big home game against the Baltimore Ravens on Thanksgiving night. That is sure to be a battle. They won today 24-10 against the Indianapolis Colts. And then 4 weeks from now, the Washington football team, 2-6 right now. The Steelers will be playing them at home, and that seems, who knows what's going to happen there with that team. That team's really struggling right now, Bob.
Yeah, they really are. And then you would think the Steelers are going to be favored in just about all of these games remaining. They also have a game against the Colts, but they have one at Buffalo. And the way the Bills look today, that could be a trouble spot, and they may not be favored in the game depending on how things go. But, yeah, it's interesting. They could really get themselves in the driver's seat. They currently have a 2-game lead over the Baltimore Ravens, and they have the tiebreaker in their pocket. So that big Thanksgiving Day game or night game certainly looms. Right now, let's hear from JuJu Smith-Schuster, who had 93 yards and a big touchdown in another win today.
We know that we were able to come back in the second half, and we have those moments. We showed that, but we also need to show that we can start fast and finish strong. Have a complete game. We fell short on a couple of downs, a couple of conversions, stuff like that. But job's not done yet. We're still 8. We still got 8 more games to go, so anything can happen.
All right, let's go to Dale Lally. Dale?
JuJu, what was that fourth quarter like for you guys? Was it kind of like last week where you're counting on Ben and the receiver group to go out there and get the job done?
Yeah, ideally, to drive down, 99 yards and put, points on the board was huge for us. And I think, that the momentum of that just changed. That we had the opportunity to make it, a field goal way to take over. But at the end of the day, it's nothing new that I've been a part of. Not that I do embrace moments like that, but at the same time, I also don't like to be moments like that.
Chris Adamski.
Last week in Baltimore, JuJu Smith-Schuster had 9 catches. Today, 6 for 93 yards and a big touchdown. He's really playing some of his best football in the last couple of games on the road. All right, we're going to be taking your calls here coming up momentarily. You can call us with your thoughts on this game at 412-575-2600. We'll take a break and come back with that. Steelers win 24-19 to get to 8 wins, no losses. A big game coming up next week against the Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Burrow. First time you're going to see him. We'll be back with your calls next, right here live on Pittsburgh CW.